Hey, what's going on, everybody? Robert Marzullo here with Ram Studio Comics, and I wanted to show you a video today on how to draw chrome or reflective surfaces in a comic book style. I got a page from my comic book, Blackstone Eternal. He's going through a little fight scene here with Krem. You can also watch a speed drawing of this, which I'll be posting shortly. I'm almost done with it. I got to work on the background. But one of the things that came to mind is when I'm drawing reflective surfaces, with Blackstone here, I'll show you kind of how I do it with that. It's real easy, or at least the style that I do on this character is very easy. I try to keep it relatively fast. Let's see, I'll pick another color so I can show you the things to look for when trying to draw this more reflective type surface. Or better yet, you know what, I'll take this one and convert it to a blue line and then just do one more over top to show you. Okay, so with a dark reflective surface, you're just obviously focusing on the reverse where you're drawing the highlights. So what I tend to do is just kind of trace some of the muscle groups and then interconnect them like this, and that gives me kind of a highlight around that surface. And then you'll notice I'll bring more black into here. So from here to here I created a larger section of black, then a smaller highlight, and then a larger section of black again, to give the effect that the light source is up here and more predominant at the top back of the character. Same thing with the head and the shoulder here. That's why that's all that way. The little rounded area that I do is kind of another way to show light source intensity or a glare. Another way you can do that is kind of do these little sparkle or shine effects like that. You'll see I'll throw that in the character every now and then. And then yet another way is to take and do this kind of swirling line next to the higher highlight or the more intense highlight, and that's kind of more in more congruent with the way that you would do lighter colored reflective surfaces or chrome. So I'll go ahead and show you that. It might be helpful to show you the more traditional one, which you'll tend to do more, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about there with the highlights and such. So say with this armor here, this is he actually has a golden armor, but it's still kind of shaded the same way that I would do chrome with maybe a little bit more shadowing. So what I like to do first is I'll draw in the little techie line stuff. So let me do that real fast. I'll just kind of randomly draw in techie lines, and that way it looks more high-tech, futuristic, whatever. So after I get my details filled in, stuff like that, I'll come back through and I'll add these thick to thin sweeping lines. Okay, so you just got to remember that basically when you're drawing chrome, it's just the reflection of the surface around it, but also it's what's called a horizon effect. So say our light source is up top, like we've already designated up here, light source. And so we know we're going to have more of a highlight up here on the top of the gauntlet or whatever. So I usually kind of draw like a little significant line to show that that's a highlight area, something like that. You're still going to get a little shadowing because you want to show the roundness of the form. So then now the majority of the shadowing, if we really wanted to bring this out in the horizon effect that I was talking about, would be down here along this, kind of the gauntlet disappears, but if this carried back the way that it does, it kind of points like this, then this horizon effect would go back the distance of the gauntlet like that, and then you would begin to shade downward. And then what you want to picture, say there's this future city in the background, I'm not saying specifically draw that city like this, but that's kind of in terms of how you want to think, because that's actually what's reflecting in the surface. So what I generally do is I'll just kind of do these sweeping flowing lines. I kind of refer to it as like the Coca-Cola emblem or whatever, because if you look on the side of Coke cans, they kind of have these sweeping flowing lines, and that's what that basically is. It's like a chrome effect or look, in my opinion, but just in my opinion, I guess. But but you just kind of draw these sweeping flowing lines, varying levels of intensity and darkness, and you'll get a good style for what looks good to you. I've seen it done all different kinds of ways, but that's the basic underlying technique or structure. And then what you do from here down, once you get the lines you like this, or you can do one before the other, it doesn't matter. Then you do these lines like this, and you kind of break them apart. So your shading kind of starts darker here, blends off, and that kind of signifies that you got another bounced light down here, and the colorist can come back in and do another color in here versus up here, and you get a nice rounded form once you add all those things together. So that's one way to look at it. Now the other thing to keep in mind too is probably to keep your shadowing away from your very edge of your, say this is an indentation in that metal, right? So you'd keep the shadowing away from that very edge, and you'd kind of show that it kind of hits that edge and rounds away. So I'll usually draw like another little set of little shading lines, or some quick little something to signify that. Now what that does is it makes it look like that yet again there's a little bit of light catching that edge of that metal, so now it looks more like a rolled edge of metal or something, versus if the shadow is right bunted to the edge, it might not look as cool or as realistic, I guess. So I'll put a little shadow in here because this is obviously rounding with the form, so I'll shadow that to make that stand out even more as a rounded form. So all those little things combined, and then another good thing to do is kind of throw in something like this. You don't have to do these, but if you throw in those little little bubbles or whatever, it looks like there's another little highlight right there. I don't really like those, but that's another good thing to do in the hot spot of the highlight, which would be up here. You could maybe even try a little glare thing like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'll do those a lot of times. Say on the back reflective part of the arm, and I want to show the highlights here, especially if it's a scene where he's in space. I'll do this right here. It's real easy to do. It looks cool off planets too, and it just makes it look like that light is just hitting so hard right there that you're getting kind of a lens flare or something off there. It's just a neat little effect that you can do. So keep in mind that horizon effect can be applied to anything. To think in terms of the way that the surrounding area would be reflecting off the metal surface, and what else? And the reverse for when you're doing dark reflective surfaces. You can see I don't get too far into doing all the little swirly curly cues inside the character Blackstone here, but that's mainly because once I go back to Inkem, it's real easy to grab white and start throwing those in. So I'm not going to sit there and take all this time drawing all those little swirls and flips and reverse lines that I was just talking about, when in all reality I could grab the white and throw them in there on a different layer, see if I really like them, and go from there. So yeah, hopefully this has helped. I just wanted to give a quick demo on chrome surfaces. Nothing too in depth, but hopefully that gives you an idea of how you could do it, and just kind of play around with it. But just think of it in terms of the horizon effect, the highlights, and then the little kind of swirling texture lines that that you can do any number of ways to get your effect. So thanks very much for watching. More on the way, and be sure to like and subscribe, and leave me some comments so I know what to do for future videos. Thanks very much, and keep drawing and have fun. Bye bye.